So the Bucks are the 2020 NBA champions. Overall, just amazing series. I feel like every game was close. I mean, I don't know the point differential in total, but games 4, 5, 6, my God, they were back and forth, throwing haymakers. It was crazy. I mean, this is definitely one of the best finals I've seen in a good amount of time. I mean, it's obviously not as good as 2016, but, I think it's the second best final since then. Maybe if you want to make an argument for 2019, but it was a great finals in a good while. And in seeing obviously two teams who haven't been here before with stars who haven't been to the finals before, obviously that made things a lot more interesting as well. I mean, I can't talk about this series without talking about Giannis. I mean, this is the best NBA Finals performance in my basketball watching lifetime. I mean, Game 6 tonight, 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. He missed 2 free throws. Like, he was doing it on both ends of the court. I mean, he had two of the greatest plays in NBA Finals history, with that block on the DeAndre Ayton lob in Game 4, and then the N1 lob over Chris Paul in Game 5. Like, he was a man on a mission. He is the best player in the NBA. I don't want to hear anything about it. What he was able to do offensively and defensively, not even just today, but these entire playoffs, and he did it on one knee. Wow. I thought that when he went down with that knee injury, I was like, you know what? I hope he just plays just for the fact that it appears competitive. I did not think the Bucks are going to win this series, but he balled out. He balled out, and he is on a trajectory unlike most people. I mean, at age 27 or 26, he already has 2 MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, multiple first-team All-NBA selections, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, and his performance in the finals is comparable to, like, Jordan, LeBron, Hakeem, Shaq. Like, his trajectory is insane, and he's still going to be here for at least the next, 8 to 10 years probably, which is mind-boggling. Also, shout out to Mike Budenholzer. I don't know if I was a complete anti-Mike Budenholzer guy, but I thought he was a very flawed coach who peaked in the regular season. I mean, we saw what happened in Atlanta and then, the first few years in Milwaukee where he was kind of stubborn. He didn't really adjust to gameplay. His rotations were off, but these entire playoffs, he did what he needed to do. I mean, he changed his coverage in the pick and roll depending on matchup. He didn't exclusively just drop. He would switch. He shortened his rotations. I mean, obviously the players have to play in the end, but Mike Budenholzer did his job, and I'm happy for him. I mean, I didn't have a lot of faith that he was going to win an NBA Finals, but shout out to Mike Budenholzer. Chris Middleton, he didn't have a great game tonight, but he overall had a solid series. I mean, he had, the Game 4 where he dropped 40, or Game 5? I'm trying to remember. Whatever, he dropped 40 in one of the games, and he was sensational. He didn't do well tonight, but he hit the shots he needed to. I think back to, I think it was a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, where he hit the turnaround fadeaway jumper with 4 seconds left in the shot clock to give them an 8-point lead, I believe. So, he did his job, and now Chris Middleton's legacy gets a bit interesting because obviously he had this generally solid NBA Finals performance, plus he's got a couple of All-Stars to his name. I don't want to say stuff to you yet, but it's going to be interesting talking about Chris Middleton. Jrue Holiday, I know he wasn't great offensively in terms of scoring, but, I mean, defensively, he was amazing this entire series. I mean, once he matched up on Chris Paul in Game 3, it was like locked up by Akon. I mean, Chris Paul did well this game, and he had a okay game in Game 5, but, I mean, multiple on-ball pressures by Jrue Holiday and multiple steals. I mean, he also rarely fouled with the on-ball pressures he did have. I just want to see what he had tonight. 4 steals to only 1 foul. I mean, that's insane. And His on-ball pressure, his rim protecting as a guard is great. I mean, and he had that great game in Game 5. Chris Middleton had the good Game 4. Drew Holiday had an amazing Game 5. He was good playmaking. I mean, he hit the big shot. I remember he hit a clutch three-pointer like late into the fourth quarter. I don't have the minutes remembered off my head, but he was great defensively, and he really took this team over the top. I mean, people were saying, you overpaid for Drew Holiday. You won a championship. You really can't say it's an overpay. So he was great in this series, especially defensively. Shout out to Bobby Portis. I mean, Bobby Portis is a guy you would love to have on your team. I remember, that him on the Bulls, and like he was a great guy on the Bulls when he was playing there, and like the energy role he brought to this team. He hit clutch shots. He was a hustle dude. He grabbed offensive rebounds, and he's a guy you would just love to have on your team. Shout out to Bobby Portis. And Brook Lopez, he was another guy who I didn't have a whole lot of faith in. I was like, you can't play him in the playoffs. He can't cover the perimeter or play pick and roll defense. But he did his job, and he had the amazing dunk on DeAndre Ayton in the third quarter. He had 10 and 8 this game. Not amazing, but he had some solid performances in these finals. I remember in the playoffs, especially when Giannis went down in Game 5, I believe, or Game 5 in the Atlanta series, he had an amazing game. And so, shout out to him. I mean, he's been a player who, what he went through on the Brooklyn Nets, those teams were horrible. And to see him finally reach the mountaintop, that's great for him. Pat Connaughton, the gentrification sensation, I think was actually second in the series in three-pointers made. And this is, I think, what the turning point was. I think this was really the deciding factor for the Suns series. So going into it, I had Suns in 6 because, well, not excluding the Giannis injury. I said that was a factor too, but I said the main factor was that the Suns had more guys I was more reliant on. And if the series went, the Bucks dude showed up more. I mean, if you break it down, Devin Booker played great. Giannis was just phenomenal. Chris Paul was overall had I think a good series. He did have some bad games, especially that 10-point performance in game 4. But once you start breaking down like DeAndre Ayton, that dude was always in foul trouble. Offensively, he didn't really get it going much. He was beat defensively. Jay Crowder did well, and Mikal Bridges did well, but outside of those guys, Cam Johnson had some cool games, but he wasn't consistent. Cam Payne, besides from tonight, was basically non-existent this entire series. Torrey Craig didn't play a whole lot, but even then, he wasn't really inspiring much. So the other dudes on Milwaukee outperformed the other dudes on Phoenix, and I think that's really what this series came down to. Also, another thing I talked about in that series was I thought the wall that the Suns had against Giannis was not amazing, but I think it could have done its job. DeAndre Ayton got put in the spin cycle multiple times by Giannis this series. He had it worse, I think, defensively. But, now, if you're Phoenix, you have some questions you have to be answering. But, the Bucks out-exceeded my expectations. Giannis over-exceeded my expectations. I did not think, especially with that injury, he was going to be amazing. Going into the series, I was like, please, just let Giannis play to give the impression of it being a competitive series. I did not think, given that knee injury and the timetable between that injury and when he came back, I had I thought there was zero chance he was going to be this good. Even healthy, I didn't think he was going to be this good, but he had one of the best finals performances in NBA history, no doubt. Now, in terms of what's next, in terms of Phoenix, well, the sad reality is this might have been the best chance you had of winning a championship, especially if you're Chris Paul, which, kind of sucks if you're Chris Paul, but what are you going to do? I mean, the big thing they have to target is a backup 5. There are some good options out there, like Dedmon, Tice, Jang. They didn't have a backup 5 that they can go to. Once Giannis got out, or once DeAndre Ayton got put into foul trouble by Giannis, they had no one to go to. They played Frank Kaminsky tonight, who actually had a solid game off the bench. But, Dario Saric was hurt, and even then, I don't think he would have been much of an impact, at least defensively. And they need a backup 5 to match the size of the Bucks. And when you look at the rest of the Western Conference, you're going to need some size as well. So, they're going to need a backup 5. As much as I wanted to rag on him, he actually had a really good game tonight. He dropped 26 points, 5 assists on 58% shooting. He was slicing and dicing the Bucks pick and roll. I mean, they would drop, he would get the mid-range. They would switch, he would just beat and drive to the cup. I was, for the performances he had in games like 3 to 5, I was like, is Chris Paul really that guy? He performed well, but unfortunately, no one else really did for this Suns team. Also, I know I kind of just switched that very off the cuff, but also Devin Booker, he played great this series, but I don't think he was otherworldly, if that makes sense. I know he averaged 30 points a game, and I mean the stat sheet, obviously, he was the reason why they were even in games 4 and 5. But in terms of, especially in the clutch, I felt like he was trying a bit too much to play hero ball. I mean, even if you look at some of the shots he was taking the past few games in the fourth, I mean, these are tough looks. Phoenix didn't get to where they were by Devin Booker playing hero ball. Obviously, he did in instances, but I felt like the offense for the Suns, especially in this entire series in the clutch, just was very stagnant. And I don't know if that fell onto Monty Williams not having a game plan late in the clutch, or it's just him trusting Devin Booker too much. And, that was another thing that may have cost them, because when you're trying to go one-on-one against a team who has 3 elite defenders, another solid rim protector in Brook Lopez, a hustle guy, the Bucks don't have a lot of defensive weaknesses. And so if you're just going one-on-one against these dudes, the odds are not going to be in your favor. So Devin Booker, I think, played a bit too much hero ball in the series, especially in this game. He didn't perform that well. I think he scored under 20 points and did so in really bad efficiency. And once again, for the 6th game, or for this entire series, unless I missed it, he did not have an assist in a single fourth quarter, which I get he's not the main facilitator on this team, but if you have the ball in your hands as much as Devin Booker does, it's kind of unexcusable. It's inexcusable? Yeah, okay. Series came down to, I think, the Suns not having a creative offensive game plan in the clutch, the Bucks dudes just outperforming the Suns dudes, and Giannis being an absolute god. Suns, you just have to run it back, re-sign Chris Paul, get yourself a backup 5, and for the Bucks, retain the core and try going for the second championship, because while the Nets are going to be back and healthy, this is not a team to mess with. I mean, they won a championship for a reason. Yeah, that'll do it for this video. Bucks win in 6. Bucks in 6 undefeated. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.